going to try to keep it down a bit because my neighbor's a little bit, he's out smoking and he's aggravated if I speak on this thing. Right. I was out here by myself, just kind of thinking about what I was going to speak about, and thinking out loud, and he came out, and I'm like, eh. Right. But this is the only, I'm not going to go for a walk. I usually go for a walk, that way I'm not around him. But it's definitely warmer here. I'm in the sun, right? Sun's going to go down soon. It's going to get real chilly, right? But so again, for that Azure, whatever they're doing, make sure it's the right version. Right. Who knows if they have access to it? They may not. You may have to grant them access or something. I don't know. Right. There's a top secret, a national security. They got all different versions, or a secret and a top secret. Right. That's why we need to bring in somebody. And, they could be using the right version. They might not be. But again, if we had those people in there around them on their team, right? Again, maybe he's worried about deep state, but then again, he could be doing something corrupt. They may say things corrupt. They don't want other people to hear them. Again, you're not going to beat the deep state by being the deep state. Well, everybody knows there's corruption in government. I guarantee, if a Democrat came in and audited all the SpaceX and all the Tesla stuff, he'd find corruption. I just guarantee it. Right. So again, I don't know what he's getting at. In fact, they've already started showing how the things that he and President Trump are saying in these, posting a meme or retweeting a meme, whatever it is, reposted to a meme, right? Trump did the same thing or worse. That's the whole thing about, investigating somebody. He's investigated Biden. So again, it sounds good to them because they're around the party faithful, and they're being triggered in certain directions. And if they weren't triggered in those directions, it would be easier to defend later. Right. So my feet are actually pointing straight forwards more. I was able to get my hips released, I guess. Right. So what happens is my upper back tightens and it pulls everything up. And then this craziness happens. Now, I don't know if this is healable at this point. There's no way to actually know until I get it to relax. Because what it's doing is it's tightening and loosening up and down my body. So what happens is it stretches your ligaments and all that stuff, and then it lets go. So everything's like, ugh. So what has to happen is I think I can get this to stop doing that. I don't believe I had the right corticosteroid when I was in Tyler, and that could have been anybody in the chain. Somebody could have made $1 million to put the wrong one in there. Spy level people can create a fake corticosteroid bag. Great. Thank you, Larry. Because it didn't even budge. My body didn't even budge. It actually got tighter. But see, because they had operated me, I couldn't think like a year later or 2 years later. I guess probably a year later, I probably could have went and got another one, right? Because when they injected that light steroid in my back in Amarillo, because I went to another doctor, that thing just went bloop, but it just wasn't in the right place to do what it needed to do, right? But I actually did get a little better. But I was so sick. Oh my God. By the time I got to Colorado, ugh. The key was for them to be kept away from me. What happened in Naples should have told them they stay away from me. They were operating me, and it wasn't the stress. I'm telling you that. They're using something. How do you get sick in 2 days when you make an appointment for surgery? But they were paid, I'm sure, hundreds of thousands of dollars to do something to stop that. Right. I don't think it was $1 million, but I'm sure it was hundreds of thousands of dollars. So what's going on now is my left side's a little weak, but not real bad. But again, it had just tightened up for a few days. Now it's loose. Right. And my right side is still tight. I can feel there's like spots still jammed up. Right. So I think if I could get that right side, and that's going to take some work and probably steroid. If I get that loosened and get it to stay loosened like the left, quite possibly I'll have a little bit of normalcy. Right. But I did receive scriptures that the Lord would heal me, but I don't know how far that goes. And I never prejudge it. I let the Lord heal what the Lord can heal. That way I'm not discouraged on the other side. But I'm healed from a lot of what's going on. And it's a curse. Part of it's a curse, and a curse also blinds you so you can't see how to be healed. You know, what you have to do. Again, you go to a doctor, they can't help you generally, but if you can just steer the doctor, if the Lord can give you some vision, then they can heal you. Although Dr. Burrell in Naples, that just shows you. I had somebody in Naples that could heal me in an instant. But I mean, everything that was well, they psyoped me away from. And it probably included, drugging me to get the effect they were looking for. Again, all those people going to hell, I don't know who all they are, but they're all going to hell. And again, you'll say, well, they're just young people. No, they were in with something. And no, I wasn't hanging out with the young people. That's generally who's in the gym. Right? High, by, that kind of thing. Right. There's a young lady from Philippines. I talked to her every so often, but I wasn't hitting on her. Right. 100%. I saw I was chatting with people in the Philippines. That's all I said. Like the guy down the street, or down the hallway from me. He's from the Philippines. He's a medical guy. And I told him, I talked to him. I wasn't trying to date him or anything because he was gay. At least I think he was. Right. Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Larry. I remember when everything changed in Santa Fe. They came in with an army, and then they hired people. I mean, it was probably 1 in every 5 was a deep stater at that point. So yeah, be careful about a lot of what you're doing, because a president can use U.S. aid for political purpose, and I'm sure Trump did. Again, there's people that may not be in Trump's circle right now that can explain it to him. Right. So again, you have to control Elon and make sure he's not going to make you look bad when they pull your stuff out. Good. But that's part of the machine. I mean, Trump knows that. I don't know why, he's trying to expose things. Again, like even him being investigated. Biden was investigated. So again, there's all this stuff. Right. The key was to stay away from the gangs when I told you to stay away from the gangs. Then we would attract better. Right. Thank you, Larry. Well, we got a lot of Donald being Donald going on. It ain't working. Right. But I like that idea of Iran. We brought that up before too, I think. Well, we just get forward of it. You have to get somebody, and it could be Mr. Grinnell, but maybe you want to just leave him for specialties or whatever. But somebody needs to go back down to Venezuela and talk to Maduro about oil. Maybe you want to make a phone call and start it and say, look, we can use some help with some oil. We want Venezuela to pump more oil. Once upon a time, you didn't want it because it's a different nation. You didn't want to buy from them. But now you've changed your opinion on that because you're asking Saudi Arabia for more oil. So you need to get down there to Venezuela and ask them for some oil and start that relationship moving. We don't need to, we'll figure it out, the rest out later. We need to smooth that over because we're not going to get anywhere being adversarial. We're just not. Right. Again, you're trying to do both there, and I don't think Maduro needs any more stick. Give him some carrot. He'll give us some carrot. Right. And we'll be bunny hopping down the road. Right. And then that'll help us with the gas prices. What is it, Citgo that's down there? Maybe you don't like Citgo because they're liberal. I mean, you're going to have to get rid of that a little bit. Right. There's some liberals you can probably trust, right? Especially if you need them, like if they're connected in Venezuela and you need them to do some things down there. Right. Well, you have to understand, like, people in government thought it'd be a novel thing to bring Elon in and Trump, even though they were complaining about lazy government people, because we all know lazy. Believe me, my whole office, not whole office, but a good percentage of my office was lazy. And so it exists. So again, they're thinking you're talking about those people, but now you're catching people up that aren't lazy and are great employees and just do their job as they're asked to do it. Well, the right side is definitely too tight. Now, how that ends up after it loosens, I don't know. I couldn't see this for like 4 years. I knew it was tight, but I never knew I could get it untight. It affected my mind so bad. Again, I believe I was drugged. I mean, they were definitely in my apartment. They tried to cover it up by the maintenance guy accidentally knocking on my door after they did it and saying, I thought we were in a different apartment. You didn't call the worker? Oh, no, I'm in the wrong apartment. Right. Got paranoid. I told him the camera was hacked and he didn't believe it. Right. But they other me, which is what they're doing. They're making me the other. They did it here, too. Right. Now, I don't know what it is. It might be that it's just cooler out here. My body, the inflammation drops. But I go inside and it feels weird. I'm not sure. Anyway. I haven't done much to get rid of the inflammation, so I'm ahead of the game. I just don't know that it could have been too much damage to restore it beyond a certain point. Again, I did great in Santa Fe, and would it still be healthy? There's no way I believe I would have had any real problem until maybe I was 80 years old. And what they're doing to me, I'm lucky to live that old. Right. Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Larry. No, it's a form of murder. It really is. It just takes time before you die early. It really is. Now they should just let me find somebody. You have to understand, when they're disrupting your life like that, it's disrupted until you can restore it. Again, disruption technology has a place, but not messing my time up with getting married and finding women to get married to. I got married really quick. I just couldn't get past what they're doing. Again, part of it is willing it while they're stalking me. So if they couldn't stalk me, they can't will it down. They can't will the woman. So if you push through the will, blocking it, then they start acting physical. And if you push through again, they do that shit where they end it. Right. They'll move the woman away if they need you. Right. Give her a new life. Tell her she's in danger because I'm going to harm her, so they're going to give her a new life. Right. They'll spend. Look what they're spending on all this shit. You're in USAID. You can see what they spend, right? That's what they're doing in Santa Fe, doing the same thing. Spending all that money to destroy me. They don't care. No, I never said anything. If you think somebody has a requirement to shut up past a certain point, then you're all crazy. Oh, my rice had salt in it. They got me. But it isn't a lot. It's like 132 milligrams. And I'm taking a diuretic right now, so probably prudent to use a little sodium. No, I had a good life. There was no doubt. I wouldn't have been moving around. I wouldn't have been. I had a church, and I've been with the church, and a wife. And, maybe after a certain point, it would have been some other religion, but right. I was always trying to get back to the church, but at a certain point, they had tainted my church time. There was just no reason to do it. It would always be some sort of weird sting operation, right? Like I said, I'm not even taking. But I'm careful. If I take anti-inflammatories right now, I might injure myself. I want to read my body. Right. And it messes up my stomach on top of that. Maybe if they stay away, it won't. And I generally will take turmeric, but kind of out of that. The PSYOP includes projection of mind and stalking of the victim while they're doing it. The devil's me. I mean, I was definitely healthier, but still all jammed up, which means I was doing a lot of walking and stuff like that, and riding bicycle, and not a lot of bicycle, but mostly walking. And I was light. My weight was down. And I was healthier. No, I believe I was drugged. I believe that's what happened. I believe those socks, the kids' socks they were throwing in my laundry, that's how they applied some of the drug. That wasn't the only way they did it. But, well, they put it gets on your clothes. They put a kid's socks, acting like they're investigating pedophilia, right? They put a kid's sock in your laundry that's drenched with, or a couple drenched with this drug. You put it in the dryer, and they don't ever put it in the washer. They only put it in the dryer. So while you're drying it, it's getting all over your clothes. And at the end, it comes out dry. You don't know that it was soaked with drugs. And then as you wear your clothes, you get drugged. I try to use the power packs for that reason. I'd prefer to use, loose and save money, but they get in your apartment. All you got to do is put it in your laundry detergent. I'm not paranoid. I'm just explaining to you why you have so many mass shooters, why people are going nuts in the street. And I think some of the cops know this part of it. They're just not going to say it out loud. Right. I mean, these people, believe me, if this word can get out, they'll be ripped out of their cars and beaten. Again, these techies are not beyond it. They have to prove they're beyond it before we accept them being beyond it. Because they may be the ones that came up with it. Right? So I like just keep Trump focused on Iran and Venezuela doing the same thing. That we have a plan that could work for both of us. Right. Thank you, Larry. A win-win situation. But yet, I don't know what Putin's doing. That's bizarre. Maybe he's mad because Trump is dissing him. Well, what are they doing airing those photos? Is it real? Yep. Maybe they're probably looking for some psychological reaction. Well, they might not have it. They might be looking to see if there's over concern, and then they'll start looking for maybe porn or something, like real porn or something, right? Or maybe they'll project that there's real porn. They may not be, right? Thank you, Larry. I wouldn't care at this point about anything, especially about Melania. I mean, she's so rich. I mean, who cares if they got your porn somewhere? All right. With her younger days, she's not that anymore, and that's that. Right? I help the Trumps inside. I don't know if they know it's me. I talk to them. I help Melania stay calm and get through a few things. Again, I help people with for national security reason and purpose. Yes, I'm walking my left side loose and my right side's tighter. But if I loosen my right side, I don't know where it's going to end up because I couldn't get it stopped from tightening. And sometimes when it's loose, that shoulder joint feels a little loose. But that was like that when I was in Naples, and then it tightened up a little bit once I got it to stop going back and forth. No, because I can feel it that it's like inflamed. So when it gets inflamed, it cramps up. So those spots are too tight. Right. Correct. So like I said, I'm not even taking an aspirin at this point, a mini aspirin or even an aspirin. I used to take an aspirin all the time, like a 325 milligram, right, when I was in Santa Fe. But I was using a little bit of turmeric. One of the things I was checking to see is if, because Advil actually has a reverse effect that doesn't work. It causes additional inflammation. I was checking to see if that was happening. I just never got back to it. Right. Now, it doesn't seem like there was a steroid. It really doesn't. I've had a couple of steroid treatments over the years, and like before I left Naples for Santa Fe, and everything just went bloop. Right. So again, you let these spies do this shit. I just telling you, you need to stop them no matter what they're employed as. Right. I bought some ready-made rice, and it has salt in it. Kind of a bummer. But I'm just glad I at least got 5 hours sleep. But maybe it was 4.5. But that, I can carry myself on that. Like forward like 1.5, 2 hours, and then every time I lay down, burp, burp, right. I actually ate all last night while I was laying there because I was so hungry because I stopped eating. So I had a bag of like mountain trail mix. I didn't want to do it, but kind of subconsciously just keep chomping on it, and I slept. So the chamomile tea carried me through. I mean, there's a chance that this could heal favorably, but I don't know how favorably. Right. There might be a need for surgery, might not. Well, my leg isn't weak like it was in Santa Fe, and not Santa Fe, in Amarillo, and I don't think it's been that way since Amarillo, but it's been cramped up and other things. Right. So it was actually, my back was just so tight that everything was being crunched, right? Nerves being pulled. And I knew it was that, but I couldn't figure out how to get out of it. Right. And I so wanted to live in Amarillo. I bought my Mini Cooper, my yellow one, it was a 2010 or something, or 9, whatever it was. Right. And I drove through Amarillo and stayed the night. I was in pure bliss in Amarillo. I was so happy. I stayed at this hotel. It was a real nice hotel, really big room. And I went out to the store. I guess it was Walmart. It was years, before I ended up there trying to heal. I was just so sad that it was so evil. Right. Now, I'm not going to tell you everything, when I'm trying to fight the battle. Right. So I went there, and I went to Walmart, and I got like those Amy's like big. They had Amy's big box that usually costs a certain amount of money. I think it had it on sale, or maybe not. I can't remember. I think I bought it once on sale. So it was like a group burrito thing, and they were pretty good. But it was for like a family of 4. I went back to the room and I pigged out on that because I'd been on the road all day drinking tea or coffee or something. Right. I bought it in Denton, Texas. And I was able to get back to Amarillo, and then I, stopped for the night. And it was just, I swear, I would have loved. I just had the most beautiful day night and morning in Amarillo. Slept good. So when that came up, I'm like, well, I had a good feeling in Amarillo. Let me go back there, see if I can get well. But I couldn't. I couldn't even get to the podiatrist there. And the thing was, that was important that worked. So again, Amarillo is one of those places to let the nation down. Because after that, I got rid of the ARC and all that stuff. I didn't get rid of anything. Right. I mean, I gave a bike away or something to somebody. Every once in a while, I give something away so that they'd have a bike to ride. Guy had to go to work or something. Or his girlfriend had to go to work. I can't remember. I actually gave a couple bikes away in Texas. I bought a new one to give away. It was like $400 to a guy that was riding this. Remember the little banana seat bikes? He had a little banana. He was an adult, had a banana seat bike, and he'd ride it to work every day. When I found out he was riding that to work every day, I bought him a new bike. It's like it's an upscale Walmart, and so it's a little bit below the upscale, not an upscale, but a real mountain bike you would buy. But it wasn't junk, right? By any stretch of imagination. Well, man workers, construction, all that. He's stuck on a. I mean, this thing had ball tires, a banana seat. It's like a kid's bike. I said, "You're not going to ride to work on that when I'm here." I said, "Here, there's for you to commute to work." I mean, if I have the right amount of money, I give them a car, but and they know I'm like that, so they don't want me to have money. Right. Thank you, Larry. No good deed goes unpunished. Right, sir. Now I could have healed. They just wouldn't let it. So I have a little bit more power, like intrinsic power right now, because I guess it's a little bit loud. My neighbor couldn't lord over me and affect my emotion. I controlled him and the situation, which is what I explained all these years. That you need me to be in control and control the situation. You can't be down on me and up in these crazy people, right? Because then they're going to crazy me, right? Thank you, Larry. So I said, sure, what's the problem? I said, okay, I'll be moving on here in a second. I'm about to walk off. And he's like, ah. Because he hears my voice, it triggers it. Not sure if he's part of it or not. He could just be, a person that has aggravation, but he could be part of it. One of the people was part of it. Not sure if it's real, but I explained how I'm the guy that just investigated the algorithms before anybody else did. And I said I didn't, and I say I didn't know. I was broadcasting. I said I didn't know what I was investigating, but today we call it the algorithms. That was porn algorithms. Right. Well, you can't say certain things to people, even the FBI, because if it's taboo or they don't believe it's happening, then you're crazy, right? Again, they think I'm crazy anyway, but I'm actually tortured. There's a difference, right? What I'm trying to do is keep my back loosened and then try to build up that left leg a little bit and see if it strengthens. It's not weak. It's just not. It's just not where I need it to be, and there is an issue with a nerve over there. But it's not like it was where it gets tight. If the back gets tight, then the pain goes down the leg a little bit, and then the leg gets tight. And it's just they should not be allowed to do what they did because I had my life worked out. Now I may have had I had a lot of issues around women because they tortured me around women. They use women to torture you when they're trying to make you gay. I had just a lot of baggage from what they had done to me in the Marshal Service. Correct. I mean, they planned it to a T. I mean, can you imagine that? The porn squad people know how to change somebody's sexuality, and they keep doing that to their victim. I mean, they told me they were weird, but maybe the other agents knew and officers knew because they said that the porn squad people are weird. They're bizarre people. Maybe they knew they were altering people's sexualities because they got around because they would get around them and it would start happening. Right. I mean, it's sick shit. Thank you, Larry. I mean, all they had to do is let me live my life. I just at this stage of the game, I just can't even believe that they even existed. That you would allow them to exist like that. I mean, to say it's evil is a minimization of the seriousness of it. I'm going to try to walk outside here and see if I feel any better. All right, I think I'm back online now. What it did was it was interfering with my connection. And I got my VPN on. But what's happening is Satan is trying to screw me up. He's making weird shit. Like I'm really trying to gingerly walk right now, and I get stuck in a situation where my leg is twisted this way and that way. And the Lord says, "Look, see, you can walk. You walk fine, and maybe it'll get better." Well, just get me my money, and I'll be able to have some sort of comfort to get somewhere. What I really want is enough money, like I said, to get a house so I can keep my license steady. And if I'm well enough, if I can get well enough, I can travel a little bit, and I can help people. I can heal them. I can get all that going on again. But again, the less comfort you have, the more difficult it is, and the angrier the Lord gets. Because I am God's man. And again, I was asleep, but people called me God's man, so I know they knew something. Right. I didn't know what that really meant. I just said, well, I guess because I go to church. I said, Brother Moore's God's man. Thank you, Larry. But again, they did psyop me. There was sexual psyop. That's somebody else than the preacher and his wife. But the wife, they maybe thought they were doing something else. Again, that's part of this. Is like if you're a good-hearted person and wouldn't do it, they'll just tell you it's something else. Right. I'd hate to think that Pastor Hopkins and his wife was deep state, or was muscled by the deep state and doing something to me. They came up as stalking me for a little bit. Right. Thank you, Larry. I may have been lied to that just do this and everything will be okay. Right. Well, the Lord said that's it, actually, after it happened. We won't be blessing them. Won't be blessing them in their church. Again, it didn't only happen to me; it happened to Paul and other people. They started moving around because it was they were made persona non grata. It's the same system. Right. Thank you, Larry. Paul in the Bible happened to all of them. Disciples were traveling around just to stay alive. Right. You see here, I push through and they break in my apartment. They start doing that. If they could, they would get me kicked out of here. But again, I'm sure they tried, but it just didn't work. I think the landlords here are like, see no evil, speak no evil, or whatever it is. Hear no evil. just keep paying your rent. All of you. I'm pretty good on my rent. I'll make sure I pay a day early if I can. Right. Like they don't take one side or the other. Right. Unless they have. Right. I just wish it was warmer. I'd feel a little better. I think these shoes are a little bit better than the other ones. Well, the end result might be that my left leg's a little too weak and my right's still a little bit too energized. But if they can meet somewhere in the middle, I'd probably be okay. Right. Again, I've been walking off kilter. My right side. What happens is I let my back stay a little tighter than it is right now. Right. So that leg kind of tightens up also. But there's like inflammation in it and stuff. Right. But I finally said, I think I need to, because I started tightening up again. So I'm like, I got to get this all undone. Right. But I'm sure I could have did it in Amarillo because I haven't even had any steroid. I haven't taken any inflammatories except a little turmeric. Right. Again, they're wheeling stuff, cursing, distorting the truth, having people operate me, and it's just, they get way over you. Again, the system, if you don't let them do it, the system, Satan can't give them that power through the system. Right. Anyways, most of it's fraud. The system is actually fraud. It's not real. Because again, obviously, I'd be a multimillionaire, right? But you can't have a certain life until you have that money, especially if you're big like me, right? If you don't have your money commensurate with your effort, then that's what Paul was kind of, I think, explaining a little bit in the scripture. Right. I just don't get it. All these criminals in the world, real criminals. But I guess I get it. You're on the takeover. Yeah, the right side's even, I think, tightening up a little bit more now. Again, that's what the corticosteroids used for, to relax it. And then as the massage therapist massage it, the inflammation decreases. We thought it was more neurological than it is. I mean, there is a little bit of that playing out. It's kind of like the inflammation is causing the neurology to kink, which I thought it was, but I couldn't get it unlocked. Right? Which may mean I never had actually an epidural. They may have, somebody may have changed the bag out for something much weaker, if at all. Correct. Well, because I was feeling pretty good with the Holy Spirit in Amarillo, and I think it's because the weather was a little bit cooler, right? And my body was like, the inflammation was leaving, right? And I thought maybe that was from possibly having the corticosteroid, but maybe not. Because that's happened to Trump. Trump had a steroid treatment. It was kind of out there. Right. And they said it's probably because he had a steroid treatment when he was at, what is that place? Bethesda, when he caught COVID. Right. Correct, Larry. Well, you should have been forced to stay away, because 4 years ago I could have really continued on in trying to heal. I just couldn't get to it. Again, I was probably drugged. I'm definitely tortured. Well, again, the Lord says at this point, no place is going to work if they don't give me the money. But, I don't know what the drop dead date for that is, when the Lord attacks you in earnest. Right. Remember, everything I do to help you can be undone in a day. Again, there's a lot of like tissue that needs to be massaged, and again, it's one thing to loosen it, another thing is to restore it. So to restore it, you usually have to loosen it and keep it loosened, which means you have to get massages more regular. Right. So I had a psychic misspeak the other day. I said, if I had my money, I could get massages every day, and I meant to say, every week, one a week or something. And the Lord said, no, if you had because I thought, it was a misspoke. And the Lord's like, no, if you had your money, you can afford a massage every day. That's how much they owe you. Right. I mean, it just boggles the mind, man. Boggles the mind. Right, if I loosen the right side, the left side might come along better too. Right, because everything's more balanced. So again, the back kind of firms up, but it doesn't cramp up. What's happening now is it cramps up instead of firms up. Right. So the legs are a little stronger when it cramps up, but it's overly tight. Right, and then it starts hitting the other nerves and stuff. Right. I mean, all I really have to look forward to at this point is going home to God someday. Again, I'm not suicidal. I have work to do. I'd like to heal. I love to heal people. Right. So I'd like to do that some more. I'd like to get my money so I can get a trailer and a truck or some sort of vehicle like that, maybe a van and a trailer. And even though I have this van, I would get another one. And then kind of have an organized trailer where I have my stuff in there. And, I could even bring the ark and set the ark up in the trailer. Right. And just go down the road and maybe month to month move on. They're saying that that's the perfect thing to do with the deep state, because it's much more difficult to set something up when you're traveling. Right. But the problem is I have to change my license. I guess what I could do is actually, go somewhere for 2 months and then come back to whatever location for a month. But, it kind of messes it up, makes it more difficult. It's just last 4 years, just flew by. Right. But I was tortured. I was drugged. I was cramped up. I mean, it was just horrible. I know I walked, but it was it's a much worse gait than I have now. But I'm a little concerned on that left leg because it's still a little weak. But it being cramped all that time, it could be because of that. No, Dr. Burrell in Estero was amazing. He's an anesthesiologist for one of the hospitals in Naples, but he just knew what to do, man. You go see him and he takes everything away. There's never a problem ever. Like there shouldn't have been a problem again. Again, they just keep doing their thing and doing it. It blinds your mind. Again, that's also metaphysical. They're also devils. So even if they didn't do the physical stuff, they can still blind your mind. Right? Like the chamomile tea. Why couldn't I remember chamomile tea? Yeah, I'm not old. I'm old, but I'm not like that old. Right? Thank you, Larry. Well, what's also happened is some people have grown older and they understand what aging is, right? And they're like, okay, there's no reason to have done this to him past 50 or even saying past 40, right? And of course, it's all bullshit anyway. They're trying to torture you into what they say you already are, which means you're not it if they have to torture you into it. Right? That's just common sense. It dropped about a degree, I think. That can't be. It's still. I got to get in the sun. Kind of sucks that it's not warm. It was so nice those 50-degree days. You know what? The snow's still here. That's the weird part. Like where they piled it up, there's still like little piles left. I thought it would be all gone in a couple of days once it reached 50, 60 degrees. Right. Well, I couldn't see. I knew to go to the mountain. Like when I was in Santa Fe, I knew I was on a mountain. And the scriptures tell you to go to the mountain. But the mountain felt a little bit it seemed dangerous and unsteady, so I came off the mountain. I probably shouldn't have done that. But the question is, I did receive inference that if I stayed, it would have been bad too. Right. And again, all I was doing was going to Oklahoma to be with Christian people. That's why I was doing it. That's the main reason why I went. But I couldn't catch my breath to actually get to a church. Couldn't trust it enough to go to a church. In fact, I was told some of the people operating me were the church. Again, it's not your church is considered fake. Again, remember in the scriptures where it says the Church of Philadelphia, the Church of all these other locations? Right. Right. Well, the Church of Oklahoma failed. I mean, it's so bad in Oklahoma, you can't even get to the church. I mean, there's no reason to stress me out every day. There just was no reason, because that alone could cause some of this. Right? It makes you tight, and they know it. They know people get sick from that. I can't believe I didn't have a heart attack and stroke what they did to me. Right? I was drugged and all that, and got excited a lot. Didn't need to, but I did need to because you let them drug me. Right? They're still probably hoping they can cause that. It's how sick they are. So I did notice, and I'm not sure, it could be something I'm physically doing, like maybe taking off my shoes or something and hitting just right. But I noticed I have more inflammation in the morning and daytime than I do in the evening. As soon as the evening hit, all of a sudden it was tracking that for quite a few days. And then that's when I got sick, and then it went upside down again. Right. So I really think I had COVID only for a week or so. Maybe a week and a half. Because I had the sinus thing and I mistook it for COVID. As soon as the fever went, that's probably when COVID disappeared. Right. So I'm like kind of gun shy on the corticosteroid because they said they have a surgery center. Right. there's doctors, you go into their office and they do the epidural while you're sitting there. And you wait like, a half hour and then you go home. Some places they do the anesthesia. You got to drive. Somebody's got to drive you, and then they drive. The same people pick you up and drive you back. Correct. And I think maybe that's what they got going over at St. Luke's. But they may not. They may know what they're doing, but I don't want to be anesthetized because they use so much anesthesia. I had no idea when I was going to heal. I was like, "Is this normal?" I was afraid they did something to the nerve. Right. They used a lot of anesthesia. I just didn't feel like they used any corticosteroid. Could have been because I was lighter. They used less, but maybe I needed more. If they did a weight like when I was in Naples, I was heavier, so maybe they did a lot less because I was a lot. I mean, probably was like 30 pounds lighter, and maybe it just wasn't enough to unlock me. That's why I was glad to get the next couple shots, right? But they didn't do much either. I couldn't get to massage that would work. Again, I know the difference between the massage I got here and the massage I was getting there. And again, that's that curse, that blinding. Again, if they hadn't interfered with my massage envy, I never would have had this happen. They were amazing. It was just like horrible, like sunny skies to just storm, one storm after another. I treated them all well, gave them compliments. That last woman, I was nervous about her, right? And she turned out to be a witch. Right. Well, essentially, they would do something, and I was supposed to. There was this thing they said. Generally, if I leave massage and a certain, it's just a way somebody comes out, the timing, go and be with that person. So I just figured it was another test. And I go see that person, and then, they'll let me be. Because they still hadn't let me be, So they get you into this thing where they lock horns with you. And to get out of it, you have to jump through the hoops. But again, none of it's real. Right? Like I said, she's trying to tell me how to massage myself. Right. And then they canceled my membership. Again, she stalked me at Walmart also. Right. I mean, it's like the most important thing in my entire life was to continue on a massage. And then I tried to start it up again, and they just kept hitting me. That girl that worked at UPS that was part of it, the UPS store, they were doing other stuff, which included probably drugging me at the time. Right. But I was waiting for my appointment where I was getting the massage and the, what do they call that? Acupuncture. And she came out, she takes walks maybe on the phone, but it was obvious somebody told her to come walk, try to make me paranoid. Right. But believe me, it's the same spy masters. They're all doing it. And again, even if it affects me without them being directly responsible, they put my life into places where that would happen. Instead of having my money, or even with the money I had, I could have bought a house, and they got in the middle of that. Kept getting in the middle of that. Then they got in the middle of buying a car. Couldn't get to it. I could tell he put stuff in my mind like, oh, you're spending too much money. But in the end, it cost me way more money not to have bought the house and the car and just made payments, Like this thing, I had it for 5 years. I could have had an FJ Cruiser, I'm sure, for 5 years. Right. But I didn't want to spend $25,000 because I didn't have money. Right. But if I did, I probably never would have left Santa Fe probably because it was too difficult. That just shows you how when the Lord tries to get an FJ Cruiser, if I bought it, I would have stayed there. Because I just drove out of there with a trailer. I couldn't drive it on the trailer, so I probably wouldn't have left. I almost stayed. I really did. Right. But it's just, if I see the future and it's kind of screwed, like with the women, I don't like being cucked. They try to cuck me. Right. And I'm just sick of that. So I might see a woman and might want to stay, but it's always going to turn into like a cuck weird thing. Right. I mean, these agents know what that is. It's demonic. Right? If you keep presenting a cuck scenario, you try to cuck the person, then you own their sexuality. And it's satanic. Satan gives you your sexuality. You have to fight them. That includes trying to push you to criminal sexuality. That's how bad the world is. That's why it's being destroyed. It's real. That's what you're all part of. Don't tell me you know it's not and it's something else. That's your bullshit shit, all of you. And it should curse you for saying it. I've already told you I'm not going to put up with you projecting this bullshit, all of you. Because people think it's their own thought. Right. Oh, you want to laugh, all of you? Whoa. Have fun in hell, all of you. Thank you, Larry. They're under investigation by me right now anyway, so. I'm reading what they're projecting. Something with France, because the lights up here, the fire lights look like frogs. Is anybody in France watching me? French intelligence? The frogs are watching me. Or listening to me, one or the other. Or both. I told you, I showed you I could see, I showed you I can heal, and you just wouldn't let me be. It's like crazy, right? Now I'm kind of almost too old to be with anybody, because older women my age, they're not going to get into a situation with somebody unless they have some real deal money, right? And can alleviate their life issues. They don't want to be miserable with someone else, right? I mean, once upon a time when I was in my 50s, it could have happened, but I was just thinking today how wonderful it was for Monica to get a house. I mean, she's always had some issues because she's homeless and was homeless and all that, used meth and stuff. But she found the Lord in Arizona, and they did her when they did me. Right? But it affected her earlier. Right. Nah, I believe that dude Kevin. He wouldn't have a problem with drugging somebody's food. Right, especially if they showed him the deep state was powerful. Those guys managing those apartments. Right. I'm sure Kevin was the operator. But she came in there. She had her dog. I just so tore up when she left her apartment. I knew it was going to end in tragedy. But again, I mean, I'm fighting. I fought not to leave my apartment with what they were doing to me, and they're drugging the people while they're doing it. They want to make you believe it's just some investigatory psychology, and they're just the wizards of investigation. But they're drugging people and torturing them. And after a while, you get out of the house, like you hear the spirit. So that's what she heard, something like that, or saw, or felt. And she left her apartment for a church in Texas, and I'm thinking that they were going to take care of her because she thought they could get her. Because I said, "Can they get to your room?" She's like, "Yeah, they can get me a room." They didn't get her a room, and she was discouraged, so she made up something about that. I don't want a room, right? Any church worth its salt. And the deep state may have been paying the church to play her along, right? Any church worth its salt would have put her somewhere. What she needed, probably the same thing I needed, massage, corticosteroid massage, right? Because their goal is to tighten you up and break your spine, right? That's their goal, man. They're that sick. Now, my right side is starting to relax. So it's kind of getting normal. But my arm feels a little loose now, but of course, it's because the ligaments and everything is stretched. Right? So I'm encouraged. Getting long in the tooth in life. I know you all lived to 80. Maybe I will, but, I would have lived probably to 90 or 100 had they not done this to me. Right. Now, if I could get a successful spine surgery, I probably could live. Right? I don't think I'd be one of those people that has all the other injuries mount up afterwards, because I get massage. That's the key. And I think that's what happened to that guy. He didn't get his massage. Right? I don't know if they did, before he got that surgery, I don't know if they did corticosteroid and massage for him, because that's what I recommend first. Right? Now, I couldn't get the right massages. The woman could do it, but she was arm barring me, and she hadn't released my lower back, so it was like pinking my nerves while I'm sitting. I'm like, oh my God, my legs, And I just felt it was doing more damage than good. Right. I was pretty comfortable with it, more so than the chiropractor. Chiropractor was torturing me. There's no way I should have been in the chiropractor. Right. But again, they had been blinding me and steered me in the wrong direction. And the only benefit I could have ever got from that chiropractor was inserts for my shoes, orthotics. I even asked them for it because they said it was part of the package, And they said, well, it's on the fritz. We can't, our scanner doesn't work. So the one thing that I could have benefited from, couldn't. Again, that's Satan and that's them. And they are Satan incarnate, and Satan has no way on this planet. They could be the biggest churchy in the world, but the reality is they are Satan, because they're causing everyone else to fall. Satan has no way on this planet without those people. Again, when they sell out to Satan. So when Marshall Hughes sold out, he's probably already sold out to Satan, but that's what he did. He sold out to Satan. Right. Still wondering if Epic Landscape are narcotics distributors. Did you check them out? They came up and stalking me one time. I was up on a highway. Thank you, Larry. Now this guy's rolling slow, and Trump could be trying to do that, but then it could be Satan's stance. Right. Well, if he's really trying to intimidate me, he's cursed. Again, if he's not trying to intimidate me, then he's not cursed. Again, that's how it works. When I do it, not necessarily everyone else. Well, I perfected the Jewish magic with Hashem. You won't wave to me. You're probably part of it. That's how, like, when they're smiling, that means they're killing you. When they're sad and all upset, that means they're frustrated because they're losing. They can't kill you. They can't get their serial killer freak on. So hopefully Trump's serious. Hopefully Iran equivocates. Right. I think, we could have a quiet future for everyone involved if we keep going in those directions. Again, Trump has to get down there to he tries to get somebody down to Maduro. He might want to call Maduro so he's the point of contact. Right. Or, not point of contact, but the initiator. You know what I mean? Right. So you respect Maduro like that and say, hey, do you think you could help us with oil production? And maybe we could, we cut a deal. Right. We need more oil, so I don't ever, Maduro. I think Maduro will pump as long as you ask him. Right. Again, you could even make an offhand remark like, just please try to let the people be, or something like that. Right. It's your business to run your country, but right. 100%. And he might take it to heart. He wants to get out of it, I'm sure. Right. Well, he's not going to. Maduro's not going to step down with the current world conditions. Right. You change the paradigm, he might step down. Retirement's fun, Mr. Maduro. A lot less stress, unless they try to kill you. Of course, that's what he's worried about. He retires, you try to kill me, and got an army to send after you. 100%, Larry. So again, they did have 3 vehicles pass by. It could be Satan's stance. And if they're part of it, they'll be cursed. Don't care who they are. I mean, if they're part of, the psychological operation. Right. Well, one vehicle was the landscape vehicle. Right. And then the other one was the black Challenger and the black Flex. I mean, it could be Satan's stance, but I'm undrugged a little bit here. Because I told you, there's people, it's deep. There's like 15 parts of this operation. There's all these different teams. One of the teams might not be here, or they can't get in. I don't know. I've been at home a lot. They've been trying to get me to go out. I can feel that. But I'm like, I don't want fire up the car at all if I don't have to. Right. Until it gets warm. Yeah, I like to get back to healing the world. I like to get my health back. I'd love to be out there just healing everybody's churches, everybody's schools. Remember I was healing your churches and your schools? That's the problems you see in the world, all them sex crimes, right? You aren't having them, right? Because I healed it. But I'm, somewhere out there, there's other churches where people are healing it also. It isn't simple prayer. It's a little bit bigger. I'm a Jewish priest. Right? A Jewish kingly priest. Or priestly king, I guess. I'm a Jewish priestly king. Doesn't mean I'm a sinner. I mean I'm not a sinner. We all sin. If you say you don't sin, then you're a liar. That's what scriptures say. Of course, they walk around. Well, we're not sinless. We just sin less. See how God created English? God told me that. He goes, I put stuff in the Bible that when it gets translated to English, you can see into it. But yet English didn't exist, did it? or very early. No, it didn't. English hadn't. I think it was still Gaelic or something like that, which was not even close. But actually, you can take Gaelic. Gaelic works too if you use it with the scripture. Right. Thai is interesting because when I woke up, the Lord was showing me how to see. So he goes, he showed me the Thai letters and how you can actually read Thai letters with like pictograph. I haven't been able to do it for a while. Maybe I haven't tried, but the Lord just showed it to me real quick. He goes, okay, look at these letters. And there's like pictographs in the Thai letters. I mean, the Lord can show you like the frog. Right. I see the frog. And then the Lord, the other day, there was like two faces. And it was just crazy what the Lord does in seeing. Like you can't see and then all of a sudden you can see it. Right. It's like hide and seek. What was that thing? Find and seek or something? When you were a kid, you had to find the things hidden. I could barely do that as a kid. I could do it, but I wasn't great at it. But as soon as I could see, it was everywhere. Everything looked like something. So my vision might be coming back on. It has to be because I figured out how to loosen up a little bit. Right. It's shocking that I was that tight that long. I remember bringing that woman in, trying the massage, and I'm like, I'm going to use this online company, and they'll come to my apartment. I couldn't get to it. I bought a massage bed. I just couldn't see to get to it. Every time something else would come up in my mind, and I was just blinded. The worst thing I could have ever done was not go to massage. And part of it was this. I was so damaged in massage, a couple last times I went. Not the last time I went, but the one time, I just couldn't get over it at that point. Because again, they're torturing you, and that brings up all that, right? All the pain. So again, if they're not allowed to torture people, then your mind will settle down and then you'll figure out where to go. No, you're all going to hell. It's real. Not here to play a game with anyone. Like in your minds, you're doing good deeds or you're a part of something and it's not that bad and all that. You're all going to hell, man. I try to tell you, you don't have excuses from going to hell if you're part of something that's causing another person to fall or to have even some sort of issue. Oh, you're doing that. Nah, I don't do anything to anybody that's not doing something to me. And that's the bottom freaking line. And don't try to reverse that. Right. 100%, bro. But the wind's picking up, the sun's starting to go in. Woo! But I can't not stay out here a little bit. How long have I been out here? Get that sun. You got to come outside in the winter a little bit. Right. Yeah, I could see now, like hindsight's 20/20. I could see I should have went to Manhattan. Right. It couldn't have been any worse than it was here. Not ever. Right. That was a 2-bedroom I could afford. That was like available right away. I remember, it must have been the day I came here for good when I bought the last trailer. Because I remember looking at it, and again, of course, they were, right now, if I looked at it, I would know they were on the other side, and I'd really consider it even more. I didn't realize they were wheeling me down like that until recently. Oh, my God. Thank you, Mary. I knew they were blocking me from stuff, but I didn't have the view I have now. Right, the vision I have now of it. So I went straight to Manhattan. And again, if you did this to me here, all that stuff you did to me, you needed me to go to Manhattan just so you wouldn't go to hell. I I mean, you probably wouldn't even have TV here if you hadn't have done this to me. Well, they may have had TV in Manhattan. It just feels like it would have been better. Right. Never would have thought that. Again, my consideration was maybe something with Unity Church. But again, once I got here and realized it was so thick with deep state criminals and devils, I knew there was nothing with any church until that clears up. Again, Unity Church gets the credit. And I was blinded from calling Unity Church. Like 2 years ago, I should have called Unity Church and have them pray for me. Couldn't think of it. Like, oh, I have to call Unity Church. And here it is. I was surprised it didn't work the time ago when I called them. I mean, it worked a little bit, but not enough. Again, the devilry was so high. Now, I used to like to pray. Brother Moore, can you pray? You pray for us, Brother. Dear Heavenly Father, look, there's a deer up in the field. I used to pray all the time. And the Lord would say, we got work to do. Just go, healed. We got work to do. That's for slow people. Remember? And then he goes, Jesus told you, the Lord knows what you want, so all you got to know. You don't even have to say healed, but healed is actually a power statement. If you don't speak out, you get less power on earth to heal. If you wiggle your fingers and say healed, you get additional power because you're stepping out for the Lord. So just to sit inside and go, healed, it's not as big. And it looks like you're me and you really don't give a shit about anybody. You put both hands up. That's really big. I'd be a great preacher. I never thought, actually, the Lord's a great preacher. That's how I do it, Hashem's a great preacher. But it was always there for me. But like I said, it was like singing in the shower. I could kind of almost start it. It was actually worse, and I couldn't even I could partly do it, and then it would fade out. I get in the shower and I start preaching, and then it would disappear. But I was doing it like inside then, kind of. Even though I really didn't have an inside voice. Like I said, it would last like a minute. Not even a minute, I had like 30 seconds. But the Lord said it continued on in metaphysical world and people heard me preaching. Actually, some of you probably have been looking for me. No, I preach in the mind, and I can do that independent of my body, but the Lord does that, Without God, you can't do that. And you can't preach without God anyway, but some of you preach with Satan. Preaching that deep state shit. Yeah, if they had interrupted, if Hughes would have stayed away, I'd have been in that church and I'd have been a preacher. They're all trying to get me all riled up. They're all stopping in the same spot. Narcotics distributors. Or people that help narcotics distributors. That could be Satan's stance, but I'm sure a few of them were part of it. That wasn't me, that was someone else that knows they're part of it. Thank you, Larry. Not testing anyone, you're a bunch of freaks. Freaks of nature. Thank you, Larry. Like, you see, you didn't see it, but I walked up by my apartment. Oh, see, he contracted when she came by. You see that, right? I mean, they just freaks like that, man. Their psychology is the biggest bullshit on earth. I tripped out. Like, the Lord showed me one day that the counter arguments to the FBI psychology, like real psychologists, like, that's absolute bullshit. I knew it was bullshit myself. Because I tried to say, like, one person does it, like, this is an indicator of a criminal. But yet, every section of society does it. A certain number of people, and not criminals. So it's bullshit. It's just, smoke and mirrors, right? It just empowers them to be the deep state. That's what it really does. They could probably clean it up and make it work, but, right. Yeah, I'm pretty sick of this apartment. I wish I never got rid of my trailer. I wish I had kept my stuff lower and less. Right. so I could continue to travel. Although, I wish I never could have, again, I could go back all the way to other things that they got in the middle of. I almost got an apartment. Like, if I didn't know they were willing me down, I would have moved into those apartments because I didn't know what was going on. Right? I mean, I still knew. It's like being awake but asleep. Right? I've explained that to you before. Right? Yeah, they want positive stuff. Now, apparently, the market has figured out that Trump bluffs a lot. And I don't know if he's bluff. He's like, I think some of it's trial balloons. Like, if he get away with it, he'd do it. And then he looks at the freaking polls and he's like, ah! Looks at the market, ah! All right. Thank you, brother. Is today, or that's tomorrow, I think, the Sabbath. It's weird because, Sabbath for Jews starts, even though it's Saturday, it starts on Friday. I got to look if today's a special day because I saw that. Well, Amazon's being very nice, and they took that food back. I'm not going to give it back to them, and because they don't take it back, and I'm not going to give it to anyone else because I don't know what made me sick. I know I ate it, and I was really sick. Right? It's not spicy, so I don't get it. Just miso soup. Right? It's like 6 bricks of miso soup stuff, and then noodles. I just wanted to get warm because I want this rest of this grass to grow. I still have some bare spot here, but I really fixed up the grate on this so the water doesn't flood the patio. Right. It still gets piles up over here a little bit, but I think it's not flooding like it did. It would flood from the sides. Let me go kiss this mezuzah here. I got a mezuzah in the back that I don't use because I don't come out the back anymore. But if I get a trailer, I can put an ark up in there and mount it. Right. I could actually use the ark I have. I wouldn't probably use the fireplace part of it. Right. I don't want anything too crazy sized. Maybe I'll just do maybe a camper. Right. One of those campers that are raised up off the ground a little bit, like the for outdoor areas, right? A little bit more resilient, right? And a little bit bigger engine than what's in my van. I mean, I could pull some stuff, but boy, it was when I left Dallas. I mean, when I left Tyler, I was at Dallas. I'm like, this is too heavy, and that's when I jettisoned the ark when I had to leave Dallas. I'd gotten rid of the fireplace already. So again, there's a point that I never got to with this over the last 5 years or so is getting it released, right? Right. So if I get to that, it may be able to, your back can actually adjust. And that woman that I fell in love with and was so sad because I wish I met her 5 to 10 years ago before I met her in Amarillo, the massage therapist, I was like thinking, it's weird because we both gained weight. I saw a video of her the last time she was online, which is way before I was going to tell her that I did heal a little bit. Like I was better off than I was. And I just want to encourage her like that. Now, it wasn't just that she was a massage therapist. She's a different type of person. She's definitely a compatible person. I know I get loud and all that, but I'm actually like with her, I'd be totally humble throughout my life. Like that's really who I am. But I have to do for Hashem what I have to do. I have to play act whatever I have to play act. And that's what a prophet does. Right. All right. Now I'd be all melted. Yeah, let's go. I'd be all goofy for her. I was just so sad when I saw her. I'm like, a woman, because I can see I could marry her, you know what I mean? But it doesn't mean that she could be gay for all I know, because again, Satan messes stuff up. But again, we were compatible somehow, right? Equally yoked. And she's a healer, loving healer, right? But I saw a video of her. I'm like, wow, she gained weight, but I gained weight too, which shows that we might be connected somehow, right? But she had lived in California. She's a little bit liberal, but again, I'm sure she's not crazy liberal, right? She had gotten her shot already, right? But they used to come up into her place with a van similar to my van, my black van. I mean, almost split an image, and they'd park there. So I don't know what she knew. I guess I should have said something to her. Right? But if she was sworn to secrecy, she wouldn't tell me anyway, right? Oh my God. Wait, so I either had them follow me or the cops or the woman lying. Right? This one dude's like, because he used to smoke marijuana. The old guy that I would I wouldn't shacked up with. See, that's what they try to say. The old guy I was staying with, right? I gave him a place to stay. Is what really happened. He was homeless, and he was living out of his vehicle, and he was on his last leg. And I was trying to help him, because his Medicare came in. I was trying to help him understand how that worked, and then he qualified for Medicaid to get TRICARE, right? So this woman, he says, that woman over there, he goes, I used to like share my marijuana with her. We were both homeless. But one day I went in there and she like started freaking, like I tried to, he said he wasn't trying to have sex with her or nothing, but she freaked out on him real bad. And then later, there's a complaint about you. This woman says you're peeking in her apartment. I'm like, no way. And then he gets like, this other guy, he said you did it too. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm just broadcasting. I said, that guy's got psychological issues. I just want you to know that. I mean, we're all a little bit crazy, but that dude was like really far out. And I wasn't cursing everybody back then as much, right? That was a little different time. Oh, healed. Believe me, if they hadn't did me like this, we'd be so far in technology. You may even actually have stuff to heal the back, right? Some sort of substance, right? Again, I actually did. I was taking stuff that grows bone back. I mean, they say it can't be done, but it was a steroid, right? I took a couple. I guess one bottle. I actually had a bottle left over, but it was just too aged, and I was going to order it, but they psyoped me away from it. They started coming around me with things that said it on there and all that. I'm like, yeah, or something similar, right? they bought some. One of the vehicles had placards on the side, and it was the same like title as what I was about to buy because they wanted me to be sick, man. They were sick people. Well, it's like Deca, but it's a hybrid Deca. Deca itself, I think, grows Deca Durabon. I think grows bone, but this one was like a hybrid, and one of the things it does is grow bone. Oh my God! I am sorry. I mean, there's no doubt they willed me away from growth hormone when I was in Naples. Again, I didn't know they were doing that. I just couldn't seem to get to anything, right? That would have took care of it also. When you don't use the growth hormone, then you age a little bit more. Right? I mean, it wasn't anything that they would let be. I mean, they're sick people, man. I caught one of them follow me. Like I said, I caught them a couple times. What you do is you turn into the turn lane real quick, and then they'll turn in behind you, they'll just mirror you. Obviously, they're following you, right? You have to do it unexpectedly. It's just a reaction. You have to do it real quick, otherwise they'll figure it out and go straight, maybe, and get somebody else in behind you, right? So they were watching me just to figure out if I talked to a woman. I guarantee it, and then the woman would be taken out of the way. This is how sick these people are. Again, God said it's not good for man to be alone, and you all said it's good for man to be alone. You'll all go to hell just for that simple attack on God's word, whether you're a Christian, a Jew, or anything else. Trying to stay in the sun as long as I can. Now my right side tightened up a little bit more. But like I said, I haven't got massages. I didn't have steroids yet. That's normal if you don't have that done after it gets screwed up. So like my right shoulder's up higher. That the key is to stop that from happening, which I knew. I just couldn't get to it. Like I said, I was seeing it. I explained it to this doctor from India. He was one of those doctors. I looked him up. He's a doctor at a hospital, I think in Dallas, that he's a really intelligent guy. And he sees the patients, when they want to see a doctor for something and they're impatient. They go up to the room and they see them. And does general medicine for the patients at the hospital. But he said you got to do something to stop the contraction and the loosening and tightening, the contraction and the expansion. He goes, then the nerves will settle down. He's like, not even none of the like orthopedic surgeons or the rehabilitation doctor said any of that. I got on telehealth teledoc or something, and he shows up and he tells me that. And see, I even knew that, and I tried. I just couldn't get anywhere. Right? Like if I can get the inflammation, even the way I'm sitting right now, if I get the inflammation to reduce, I'd be okay. Right? I haven't been this even, I think, ever since before it happened. Right? Oh my gosh. Well, some of it might be magic. I don't know if Trump's people actually support me or not. I just don't know. I mean, because I can see they hint that they are, but that's what the deep state does too. So they ruin the ability to communicate with me using, something like that. Because it could just be the deep state trying to trap me deeper. And I'm not paranoid. It's just, give me my money and I know it's real and I'll move along. And I'll heal everything until the day I leave the planet. Thank you, Lord. Now, again, if you attack me, I wasn't built for this, because somebody goes, well, you were built for this. God made you for this. No, God made me for something else, but I can handle this. The planet's going to end. It'll be over. 100%. Thank you, Larry. Well, the two-stage solution, if you look at it, it's what they say. Again, what's his name? Now we did say we adjusted the borders, and now maybe we'll adjust them some more. But there's nothing wrong with adjusting the territory. And you could even add something that you don't want. Like if you want a certain section of Jerusalem, if Israel wants, this has been my idea the whole time. I didn't know you were saying it has to be the, sections that you have. Again, for peace, we can maybe do something. So in essence, you could let them maybe extend in a certain direction. Correct, brother. And then, they give up a little bit of land. Right. So again, for the two-state solution, it is what it is. This guy in a Hummer is trying to get me. He didn't completely stop. He just braked. Right. Now I'm sure of it. Could be Satan's stance, but I doubt it. I'm sure some of them are it. Right. Because then they're witches, so they will it to be confused. Again, the unknown can make people crazy. Right. Thank you, Larry. So Trump needs to, no, I'm not hiding in my house. I have inflammation. See, this is them. Oh, he's hiding in his house. I have inflammation, assholes. I have inflammation. I had COVID. I'm just taking it easy until it warms up this year. Right. Weirdos. They misread everything on purpose. Well, our psychology says that we've affected you. And you're actually hiding because you committed a crime. No, I have COVID. That's really how they are, man. They're weirdos. Just give me my money. Let me get out of here. I'm not running. I don't want to be in that apartment. It's just disgusting to me. They drugged me in there and everything. They tightened me up horribly. Nah, I don't think it was happenstance. Too close to that doctor's, that surgery thing, right? I really enjoyed the one massage therapist, but I don't know why she was supposed to give me her phone number, and I was going to do it outside of the massage therapy location. Right. But we never got to that. And then she came back. I was so happy to see her. I thought she was a wonderful person. I told her, I said, if you were like, if you ever want to get married to me, I'd marry you. I actually told her that. I mean, I'm not bold with women, but it seemed like the perfect woman that I would have loved to have married. She's probably Mexican, probably DACA. Right. But I fell in love, I'll tell you that. But I mean, it's just like an inside love, not really anything that I thought was ever going to be. Right. Oh my gosh. I don't even remember her name, really. Or maybe that she played to be a DACA person. I don't know. It could be an agent for all I know. Right. But I I saw her, like the last time I saw her, I was like afraid of her. So I'm not, that was when the setup was happening. So I don't know what was going on. Maybe she was part of it, had agreed to it. Right. But I like had fear when I saw her. I'm like, oh my God, what is that? I like froze and just kind of looked at her weird. Oh my God. Now, you had no right to do this, man. None of you. I'd have been with a woman, had been quiet, I went to church, and that's all it would have been the rest of my life. Right. Actually, in causing me not to just go to the church, I ended up in California where my life could have been big. It was like unfolding that maybe you could be big. Right? They were still monitoring it and killing it, like real time. Like I said, that guy offers me bit parts and then freaks out when I step out of the room because somebody did something around him or said something to him. Right? Sorry, some sort of producer. I mean, a producer walks up to me and goes, hey, you want to do bit parts? The Deep State was in there watching. Right. Oh my God. Rotten pieces of shit. And yeah, when you think it's like these fucking nobody deputy marshals. I mean, they're probably multimillionaires now because they murder people. Just crap people, shit people. If there was somebody that I felt I could turn the investigation into, possibly they'd have been put in prison. I don't know. Right. Thank you, Larry. I tried to turn parts of it into the FBI, but I think they just intercepted it and killed it. Right. Right, sir. I can't believe I got that rice with salt. But again, like I said, it might be Hashem saying, hey, you're taking a diuretic, you need salt. Right? So again, although I'm hopeful, I don't want to get too hopeful because then I get to, they're in my head actually trying to do that. And again, it could be spells or something like that. When I say that, it's a metaphysical. Right. That's metaphysical speak. Right. And they're trying to like take me up the hope of healing, and then there's like, again, it's not me. They're trying to insert emotion around it. Right. And then like, sadness, you're not going to heal. I mean, apparently this is what they were doing the whole time that confused me. So they're still doing what they did in Amarillo to confuse me, but I'm awake to it now. I can see it. My God. So all these people that stalk me, that's the shit they're doing with their mind, casting spells in that direction. Right. Now there's no kids in danger. They're full of shit. Kids are in danger with them. I mean, what they're doing to somebody's head. Right. Who knows? They could be pedophiles. The deal is they do this to someone else, and then they're let up from being a pedophile. Right. And again, they know I'm healing their shit away. So people aren't becoming pedophiles when I heal them. Right. So of course I'm their enemy because I heal their victims. Of course. I mean, first thing I was healing minorities, and I'm like, I have the answer. I have the power. We can heal the people of color, and is what they call them now. But I'm like, I'm healing the minorities. They're going to be powerful. They'll have a life. No more crime. And they kill me. And when I say they kill me, if I didn't have God, I'd be dead. Like John Luna, how he died, how Bob died, how Bruce Schultz died. I mean, there's no reason for them to have been around me whatsoever. Like I'm saying, my hips are now loose, right? And these shoes are pretty good, so I'm not like retightening it up real quick. I don't know. Hopefully, I have a normal life ahead. I mean, I don't know. I would have loved to have been with a woman, though. Man, I'm a lover type, but I mean, I like to be with one woman, and that's it. Right. I like to be in love with one woman, and that's it. Kind of like Suzanne Simmer said, she had sex with her husband all day, or not all day, every day. But yet, they're in love, and they're married, and it's monogamous. Right. Thank you, Lawrence. Now, it's just so weird that I'm 60, and, when I was 40, life was so possible, like real life. I'd never had a real life. It's pretty much a slave to everybody and everything around me. But they just increased the ability to do that. So they're sickos, man. Extreme sickos. Yeah, probably the only rice I didn't want to buy. Ended up with it. But I wanted to make it a simple stupid. So I bought pre-cooked rice, but it turned out there's a lot of flavoring in it. So I actually like it better without all that. Right. Long grain and wild rice from Great Value. So again, they hypnotized me into into having all this stuff, right? Grow roots, because then you can't move on easily, Again, it's a push-pull is what they do. Correct. Well, it's a depletion. It's that depletion, right? And all that the other stuff too, from that sex cult MDXM, LXM. So again, when I left Santa Fe, or when I left for not Santa Fe, but Espanola, I had a great anesthesiologist do a epidural, right? And they don't know what. Again, the neurologist said, I don't know what causes that. So again, I could have been drugged, right? But I left. Before I left, I went to a sports center because I wanted them to look at my shoulders. And it says, we do see some wear in there, but most of it was that I had been released after being tight. So everything had to reform. Right. She said, I could give you corticosteroid shots in your shoulder. I said, I got an epidural. She goes, that's something different. I can do this now. It's like a month later. So she gave me them shots. So when I left I had a lot of pain in my hips. And it was very difficult to sit in the vehicle. I had to return another vehicle because it had a clutch in it, like a moving truck. It's like a stick shift moving truck. I never thought I would have this. Right. Thank you. And they told me they were going to deliver me another truck, and they never did. I sat up in, and again, this might have been the deep state may have called them and said, don't do it. Right. But I sat up somewhere I don't even remember where, maybe Tampa or something, waiting for them to deliver a truck. And then they acted like it was never possible and they were never going to do that. They said, we can deliver you a truck up there, sure, that's an automatic, so you don't have to deal with the stick shift. And then all of a sudden they couldn't do it. Thank you. But I was in pain and just happy. I was kind of happy to be out of Naples, But still, it was a very big, it was a very faithful move that I made because hadn't healed yet. Right. So I get there and I'm still like, I'm having sick moments and all this. I moved into a place that only had like a swamp cooler, and I was just getting sick in there because of the humidity, Right. And I moved on. He was kind of upset that I moved because he was income, and I'm sure I'm steady income, But I was able to meet somebody who had an apartment above the garage. He was a construction seat guy. He divorced his wife, so it was on the property that his wife was staying in. Right. But she came up as deep state, right, at a certain point, like after I moved to Espanola, right? Because she was operating me a certain way. She showed up a couple times. And, I was getting my massages. So this is what it was. I had the corticosteroid. I was getting my massages. I was taking ungodly hot salt baths. I tried. I couldn't get it. I was just so sad that I couldn't sit in those salt baths like I used to. I mean, I sat in, but not as hot as they were. I mean, my fingers, like my body was screwed up. But as soon as I got in those salt baths, like boom. And I can credit that to God to know to do that. You can just feel the blood starting to flow through those muscles. And heal it, Yeah, that's the other thing that this is not. I'm not at that stage with these muscles. So, right. But I also, at a certain point, when all like I'd say within a month, it started to dissipate, right. And I was able to start helping the Sikhs. I would have to like do stretching in the middle of it to stretch my shoulders and stuff like that, it's getting real tight. And what happens also is the bone wears, and then, you have your back has less space to adjust in with, right? But I was doing that, so I was kind of like, it's almost like lifting weights and all that, right? Because I'm lifting pots and stuff for cooking, and right. And I did a lot of work for them at a certain point. Then I was able to get back on my bicycle. Like when I could ride my bicycle down the Walmart in Espanola from, the Sikh compound area and then back up, I was so happy. I'm like, oh my God, God healed me. All right. I mean, I was bad off. I'm actually not as bad right now as I was in Naples. Oh, it was bad. And then when I got the epidural, I couldn't even walk. Because it didn't adjust in right. It was like loosening in the wrong spot, tightening in the wrong. I mean, I could walk, but it was like any less than I had, I would have needed a walker, and a walker was justifiable at that point. So again, I have reason to be angry at these people, a lot of reason. What was that? I mean, these are things that you can't, these are life-changing events that you can't take back, especially even the time periods they did it, 30, 40 years. Right? I don't care how many years you're in it and not in it. You're all going to hell as one big devil, one big Satan incarnate. Agreed, Larry. Now, just the regular, like that royal basmati rice with those beans is like out of this world. Because the royal basmati is like the extra long rice, like real thin, but it's delicious. And I know how to cook it now. 5 minutes in the pressure cooker. That's about it. Yeah. So I enjoyed being there with the Sikhs, but I was confined to my own world. I don't know whether they're paranoid or what. I mean, I'm sure Johnny Hughes and his son hinted that they should get rid of me. Right? Oh, I was being played, believe me. So I think they were trying to, indoctrinate me, right? But like for the wrong thing. So if it hadn't been done like that, I would have, people would have been so happy. Like I could have married this black woman with 2 kids, but it just wasn't me. You know what I mean? Not that she was black. It's just, it's not, it wouldn't, she was marrying me because she was stuck. And she was from Philadelphia. She was stuck in Santa Fe with people that she thought would take better care of her, and they wouldn't. So I actually helped her move to her house when she left the Sikh place there. I think she moved to Santa Fe. I can't remember. Right. She left where she was living with a Sikh person or something. I think she's back in Philadelphia. I was there to help her move her stuff and all that. She was telling me how she felt slighted by their community, possibly because she was black. Even though they have black people, again, everybody has their token black people, right? I mean, it just amazed me how evil people are, right? Again, there's a group of people that are causing all of the crime and causing people to be down so that they can be manipulated to be the victims of crime. But they're playing that game like they're the saviors. If there's no direct energy manipulation in my apartment, then there's demons in here thick. When I come in here, everything changes. Right. I mean, it cursed me so much, it brings demons to the apartment. Well, that's the thing is when you use corticosteroids, sometimes all these aches and pains just disappear, and then they stay disappeared. And that's what happened in Santa Fe. Right. And I was really careful with my back, but then they started freaking me out and doing all this crazy shit around me, and I started moving. Right. That was the absolute wrong thing to do. Thank you, Larry. Again, they always try to brainwash me. Age is just a number. Age doesn't matter. They're sick. Wild rice and, well, I guess long grain rice. Now, if they had interfered in my life in Santa Fe, it probably would have worked. Right. I mean, because I fit in perfect. Right. It wasn't a culture that I couldn't assimilate into or didn't take care of. Took care of the Native Americans and Latino people all the time. Right. Took care of the cops all the time. Took care of the homeless people all the time. Because I would see visions every so often, and I knew that before they got involved, again, the same thing, there was a journey that I would have been on that would have led me to having a Adobe type home. What makes them mad is they lie to everybody. And then when you're there, everybody can tell that it's not true. Then they start drugging you and hiring the operators and get you drugged and all that stuff. Right. You can't let it get in the middle of your law enforcement work, but you always should understand that but for the grace of God, there go I. Like people are living different lives, not the life that you grew up in. Right. Even if my life wasn't that good, I was in a better situation than many of them. Money is just a number. Give me my money. Money is just a number. Give me my money. That was hilarious. No, I mean, they hadn't done this and they knew it. I'd marry a woman, I'd go to church, and I'd probably get a house and just stay there the rest of my life, right? Actually, when I was able to own a home, they was taxed and earned even more so. We're trying to destroy your life, and your life picks up, they freak out. I can't believe my wife got in that accident. That was like a life-changing event. I tried to deal with it, but she just got angrier and angrier. Never have her focus on me. Like they psyoped her before they psyoped me. And I thought she was just having issues. It turns out it was real. When I was drugged at the wharf rat, oh my God. And that made it more real. Like, was it real or wasn't? You know what I mean? Was I really being drugged? I don't know, right? But when I went to that wharf rat, after she scheduled that appointment, she did a couple things to the contractor to attract me. Now, she could just be a horny woman. And no, I wasn't trying to just have sex. Right. Like, we were talking, and she pulled her black lingerie strap out, so I could see it. Okay. The redhead one, the younger one. Thank you, man. And then what they did is they overdrugged it. That's what they did. Because I took one bite and I knew it. I'm like, oh shit. Because I'd already been drugged. So at that point I knew it was real. real. And then I started going to a dentist. Like I hadn't been to a dentist, like I don't even remember, probably the military. It was that long ago. So I mean it's like a decade. Right. So I go to the dentist and I line up a cleaning, and then he's like, I'm going to take care of that other stuff too. Just come on back and da-da-da. And then they killed me. As soon as I got my teeth cleaned, they killed me. They attacked again. Again, Karen Shelton's part of that, and Rick Henry was part of it. There's a big case there. Or was at least. 100% Larry. Now, they probably killed a bunch of people in their life. They're terrible sickos. Now, they might do it with psychology, but I don't know. I think anybody who does it psychology eventually kills someone. We'll just keep talking here. Everybody just keep talking. Oh, it's delicious coffee. That's stock espresso with like creamer with sweetener, like built-in sweetener. I'm using just a small amount, like a one-shot espresso. Absolutely delicious. Yeah, like when I'm inside, there's a lot more like doubt and worry about healing. So they're doing something here in my apartment. It's either metaphysical or direct energy or both. I'm sure there's direct energy can change your mood. Right. Elon's got that satellites up there. Who knows what's up there? It could be anybody besides Elon, too. Thanks, Larry. Like when I'm outside, I don't have that same thought pattern. Right. Now, it could be allergies or something like that, but not really looking like that. Got a little something to eat there. No, it's funny because I was sitting there eating the beans and rice, and I'm thinking, I don't have any gas with this. Like maybe a little bit, out the correct side. Right. But I'm not burping or anything. I'm like, this stuff's great for my stomach. And then like I start eating other stuff. I'm like, yeah, now I got gas. I'm burping and all that. Right. We're out doing flight training. A lot of people that do, I think, flight training around here. Right. About 2 years ago, you should have just let me come in here and relax. And I probably would have got to my massage and all that very quick. Right. What happened this time, the fear of what would happen if I didn't get the massage was greater than the fear that they put in me the other direction. Right. Again, it's a psyop, man. I mean, over time, it does affect you. And again, of course, they're drugging you, so they're changing your psyche, even if they only drug you a few times a year. Right. Again, obviously, when I got here, I could even get on a bicycle and ride a little bit. So I was healthy to a certain degree. And y'all decided you'd take me down some more. You'd try to replicate what was going on in that other city. Right. Hope you enjoy the TV. I'm sure people aren't moving to this community based upon that. Or to places that have it. Probably the whole area. Well, I think we'll move to another state. Yeah, so now that the shoulder's tighter, the walk is a little bit stranger. Right. Because the right leg is tighter and stiffer. So it makes the left leg and the left leg seem too loose. Right. Right. Yeah, I'd hope to have a peaceful end to my life. We'll see. So I need that money. Should have been here already. Burton's been in VA, what, 3 days already? Oh, Burton just mailed me a check or something. No, I'm glad Bonnie's in there. I just hope she has the power to do what's right. Right. And what's right doesn't mean commit a crime or anything like that, but there's a right way and a wrong way for everything, or better ways, Right. Well, I'm confident that we could do something, get somewhere. She has the power to move major operations. No, I think some of the pill mill doctors may have killed me. I think that's part of what this is too. Right. I really do. Like the Naples part of it. Right. I think some of the pill mill doctors put a hit on me in Naples. The cops took it with some PIs. I mean, the others are part of it too. Like that's what happens. Like Rick Henry puts me. Like if I was part of your stuff, like what's supposed to happen is, I'm not stupid, okay? What's supposed to happen is I come in your community and the cops introduce themselves, and they try to help me with life because I'm a disabled cop, right? Right. So I know that Rick Henry and Karen Shelton and Hughes and all those other people were putting the kibosh on that. Right. Thank you, Larry. But again, because you didn't do that, I can't help you as much as I was helping you, and as much as I could help you, even further than that. Right. No, I helped to push that border patrol thing so that they weren't they were being deep stated. Right. Thank you, Larry. That one, we got them people released out of jail, those agents. Right. Thanks, Larry. Or commuted, I think, or whatever. Right. But I was also helping you with technique and technology. And again, when I speak about it, then a lot of stuff happens that you may not think is happening. Right. Things pick up for us. Well, I don't know if I'm going to heal, but I'd like to heal. And corticosteroid has healed me before, but I couldn't get released from the cramping like I am now somewhat until now. And like I said, I only went 2 weeks of massage, but it was pretty intense 2 weeks. There's a possibility that this tissue could relax, and the only thing I'm left with is a little bit of weakness on the left side, right, on the left side of the leg, right, and maybe not. We'll see. Which means everybody's left side is a little bit weaker than the right, if you're right-handed, right. So it may not be that noticeable. Again, there was a spirit in there, but I'm not going to get my hopes up till it happens, if it happens. Right. Well, that helps me just accept whatever comes my way. Right. 100%. Again, I'm with Hashem, and I don't want to be like all you blaming Hashem for stuff. Even though you say you're not blaming God, you all blame God. Believe me. Trying to find my stuff. Yeah, and I wouldn't have had to put down the vinyl carpet. I wouldn't have had to, be terrorized while trying to move into an apartment. It would have freaked them out if I'd have went straight to that apartment complex and moved in Manhattan. They would have ruined all their plans. They'd already made evil plans. Correct. So their whole grand finale is when they get that one sergeant detective to commit suicide. First, they don't want him to, air anything in court, because there's other people involved. Plus, they want to use that on my head. Well, maybe it's time for you to go. He's here in the spirit. That means he was born again. I think I said that before. And when I said it, I saw his face, and my voice shifted a little bit. Right. Now, you can commit crimes in your life and be forgiven. It can't be like a metaphysical crime. Which means he may have been somewhat asleep. Probably was. And again, I love being with the massage therapist. No, I love that woman. If the Lord said, well, do you want to marry her in the afterlife? I'd say, yeah. Even though she deep stated me. I don't know if she did, really. But I was afraid of her. Like, for a second, I'm like, what is that? But, no, I fell in love with my one massage therapist, but again, I wasn't trying to be anything, right? I tried to research something about her on Facebook, and there really wasn't much there, right? I felt like and it could just be like a projected persona, but I felt like she was a DACA person, right? No, her personality was great. I mean, she looked great to me. I mean, I don't know what everybody else sees her as. I thought she was one of the most beautiful women I ever seen. But her personality was great, and like I really appreciated. She would come in there with the craziest stuff. Like when I go to these other people, like they have like you go to Hand and Stone, and they have like 20 different massages, and it's $10 extra, $20 extra, whatever it is, and she did them all. She just come in and be like, okay, now we're gonna do this, right? And I was just getting healed and healed and healed and healed, and then they attacked, and that was it. I never, I started unhealing. Oh. I mean, they were always there, but again, they had to build up the army. And they had some woman, she ended up working at Radio Shack, but she had worked at Warren Inn there, at Casa de Bella, right? And she used to change wigs out all the time. So I was wondering about, she seemed like one of those people. That's why I test, what's that place called? Project Veritas. I'm always testing those people to see if they're part of that stuff. Right. Because again, Project Veritas can go somewhere and tell you they're going to work some case, but they could be deep stating. Right. No, we only accept deep state Republican, as much as we don't deep state Democrat, because that's where it comes from. They're not really Democrat or Republic, although some people are lifelong, but they wouldn't be if they needed to change, right? Make their money in their life. As long as they have connections, they'll stay. So again, it's what have you done for me lately kind of deal. No, that one girl, Jasmine, if that was her real name, which I doubt, but I had no real connection to her. The only one I really liked in there was that woman, but I realized she's too young for me, and she's married, and she had a kid. So I'm not like going to fantasize about her. Right. Right. Like her family life was important to her. Her kid was important to her. Right. I mean, she may not have been DACA. I mean, but it just seemed like maybe she was. And like when she came back, she left, and I was going to get her phone number and do it outside the massage envy. You're not supposed to, but tons of people do it. Right. I can't remember what it was. I don't think maybe she was going to have another baby. I can't remember how that worked. But when she came back, I was so happy to see her. Right. And we were like, somebody started pounding on the wall because we were making too much noise, because we were just so happy to see each other, because we're just friends, right? Acquaintances, I guess. But, just an enjoyable massage to be with her. And I guess I'm a good patient, customer patient guy. Right. But again, it could have been somebody that hated on me. It could have been a deep state person. So they banged on the wall just to, because they're angry because I was having a good experience. Right. And what happened maybe is like I was with the deep state person, and then I switched to her. So they may have been angry. Right. Thank you, Larry. So again, they make a lot of, that's how psyop works. Sometimes there's silent things happening to try to force you in a direction. Like, right, so, right, like you're not supposed to be there, right? That's not you. They're crazy, man. They're crazy. They're devils, man. We're not going to dumb this down. 2 hours, wow. I'll tell you, beans make it for easy eating and easy going. Right? Stuff moves right through you. And as a vegetarian, I'm getting sick of soy. It's just not working for me. So I think the beans are going to be kind of a staple. A lot of cultures, beans are staple, especially poor people. Well, that rice becomes like, what is that called? Food that's, I can't even remember. Food you're not supposed to eat. Food that's manufactured with all this stuff, right? It's funny, my right side tightened up and I can feel the difference. Right. I hope I heal. That'd be amazing. The Lord said he would heal me, but again, I don't know. I didn't receive it to what level that healing would be. Right. I'm definitely doing better than I did the day after I said I'd have surgery. I'd like to have surgery, but that's the way they are. They try to torture you. Again, the more they do this to you, the angrier they get. Like the more control they get over your life, the angrier they get when you get outside that control zone. And it's not like a law enforcement control, although they may play act that that's what it is. No, it's psychotic, man. And they know in their life, like their life Satan will take from them if they don't do what Satan tells them to do. Correct. But they shouldn't have it anyway. But they'd still have more than their victim. They're obsessed with money and more. That's why these billionaires are suspect, because this is the way the underlings are. Just obsessed with more money, more money, more money. Right. No crime too big. Right. Well, I'll tell you right now, Elon Musk is committing crimes right now that could be prosecuted in 5 years. And I believe the way the preemptive pardons go, that they will rule them unconstitutional. Again, don't buy into the bullshit. And I mean 4 years. I don't know if anything could happen before that. Again, if he gets too full of himself, he's going to end up stepping on it in front of a judge, and then he's going to have contempt of court. I mean, you're not going to get yourself out of it by getting on X and screaming bloody murder that everybody's treating you poor because you happen to be the richest man on earth, and I don't think anybody could treat you poor. I mean, when you're the richest man on earth, nobody's treating you poor. Again, the administration needs to pick its fights instead of picking fights with everybody, because your high is going to become a low. Thank you, Larry. Now, it screwed up that my legs were tight all that time and my ankles, because it did screw up my feet and stuff. Right. So I'm hoping over time maybe that could come back, because I didn't have these problems before. And again, I realized it's because I hadn't got the massage in so long. Right. Again, you're not going to be forgiven on this planet. I'm telling you. Again, I forgive you, but I can't forgive you. Only God can. And God's not going to forgive any of you. One damage after another. They seek damage on their victim day in and day out. Day in and day out. And they walk around like they're saving the world and laughing, having party and sex and everything else. Being paid millions of dollars in the long run for what? For being the dirtiest piece of shit on earth. It could be with massage that this all could come into order, but we'll see. And I do have new inserts coming. A little discouraged because I got new shoes and new inserts, and it's kind of still achy in a certain spot, but maybe it could go away. Because there is a tight, like around my ankles, it gets tight. So if they loosen all that, this could all adjust in and not, because it's off. It could be off out of alignment, right? But I'm not wearing any socks with the latest insert that I purchased from Amazon. What I wanted happened. I wanted to be able to feel the arch stick up on my arch, and then I know it's high enough to actually do something, right? To give shape to that flat foot, right? And then with socks, it's different. So I took the socks off and tightened up the shoe, and it feels real nice. Right. Well, I was afraid I was going to have to wear slippers. Like I wore sandals. Like they weren't really sandals. I guess they're sandals. They were flat bottom sandals, but nothing fancy. Because I bought fancy ones, I couldn't even wear them when I was in Amarillo. I was so sick. But the only thing I could wear were these sandals. Everything else would hurt. It would hurt my legs and my back. And I couldn't even get to an orthotic. When I got back to Tyler and I gave away all my stuff, because all my stuff was cursed. Right? And that shouldn't happen. my power came up a little bit enough to get to a podiatrist, and then I started feeling okay, and I went to a massage therapist, but they attacked me, and I was sick, and they probably drugged me, and I got real sick, and I'm like, I got to get out of here, right? And they probably got paid, I don't even know what, probably $1 million. Nobody cares. They ripped the government off with money. Again, all that money that USAID is putting out corruptly. Now, again, Elon Musk is part of government subsidy, so I get lost in what his point is. Again, just trying to tell you the truth and how the judges will see things, right? And then we look at Trump, and he investigated Biden. So it's like, what's your point? Right. See, so you have to be careful what you're doing. If you ever I don't think you probably just want, I don't even know what you want to do. You don't want to spend too much time on it. We have too many important things to do. Right. Well, a battle royal is a battle royal, isn't it? Until it isn't. So again, what you're going to do is you're going to cause it to keep going. Right. Well, they'll probably take it, well, I think you could stop it. If you would stop it, if you wouldn't have started it especially, and would have worked together with people, right, you wouldn't have these issues creeping up, number one. Number two, you'd have the Democrats willing to work with you a little more. Now, you're not going to get them to do your immigration stuff. That's plain and simple, right? But, at least you're not going to have as much pushback, right? And then also in 4 years, have to worry about being prosecuted. I just don't think a preemptive bargain is going to fly once somebody contests it. Agreed, Larry. Well, because then you become like a special person. I mean, it actually obviously thwarts checks and balances, separation of powers. But then you become a special person because you get a preemptive pardon and we don't. Right. I might like every 4 years somebody go, okay, every crime you've ever committed is now unprosecutable. You can't do that, actually. Right. So again, don't, because I think that's where the Trump administration is. Oh, it doesn't matter. Trump's going to preemptively pardon us. In 4 years, you'll be heading for the courtroom. I mean, what you're doing to these FBI agents, man, because it's not a real case. It's just like you got to sign something, and we want to send this retaliation message and retaliate. Right? But I guess they said they're not going to do anything now. Bondi's in there, I guess. Right? And don't do it. Don't let them play. Don't let them play those people. You've already shown that you're interested in retaliation. To go under, and maybe it's God protecting you all, because you can't even do it in secrecy now. Right? Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Larry. Because in 4 years, though, I doubt. I mean, could Trump make it? Yeah, but it's a lot of work, and you all don't seem to have the focus. You have to focus on personal games and personal issues, like vendetta, retaliation. How am I going to get rich? Right? How am I going to get richer? You're all rich anyway. Right? I mean, it just boggles the mind that you're worried about that stuff. I mean, Trump, how old's Trump? Trump, get away from those deals. Even your son-in-law has enough money. You don't need any more money. I mean, just get away from looking like a stooge. Right. I mean, why? Again, you're gluttons for punishment. I don't think Elon's sane. I really don't. I think he's lost it. 100%. I mean, Saudi Arabia definitely owes me money. I don't know how they got my information, but they owe me money. I gave them hints on social media on how to get forward of being an oil producer in an electric world. And they started moving in that direction. And I also said, things about the biosphere. Now, I don't know. Maybe I'm in with MBS. Maybe that's it. I don't know. Maybe he hurt me inside. I don't know. He still owes me then. Right. Right. That's why I ruled were they United Arab Emirates? I can't remember where they're from. Remember the people with the Lamborghinis or whatever rushing through California? I ruled them for their home nation, but it was just speaking out. Right. I mean, they're rich; they're not going to be prosecuting their home nation, but there's certain people, like maybe been the king. I don't know. Maybe you don't want them to do that because it makes you look bad, makes you look trashy. Right. Yeah, there's a chance that again, I look different now, but there's a chance, like when I shave my head and you look at me, there's a chance there's something there from like Iran or something. A lot of Jews went through the Iranian area, and then they ended up in Russia. Well, my uncles. If you look at my uncle, actually, he has a different father than my mother. But you look at my grandmother. She was kind of darker skinned and had like tight curly hair, kind of tighten up. So again, she could have, it could be some Arabic in there. Right. Look at my grandmother. Sometimes you think, I didn't know, how seeing worked. She looked like she was from India. I look at my grandma. You look like you're from India. She wasn't that dark, but she was like a mid-tone person from India. Again, I really am a king, so that could just be that. Right. No, Mike, when I was a kid, like it all makes sense now, and it could have just been saved. But my father called me king of the shit heap. He may have been angry because I was a king. I mean, he was probably a seer. He called me king of the shit heap. Well, yeah, I guess I'm king of the planet, right? It's a big shit heap. Right. So my stepfather may have been jealous that I was a king. I didn't know anything. Right. Well, he may have gotten ruled for some things. Right. Well, I love those beans. Love that coffee. Praise the Lord. So a lot of people think praise the Lord is Christian. It's actually Jewish. It really is. Right. But I think a lot of Jewish people don't do it because all the goyim do it. You miss out on parts of the world when you worry about that stuff. Right. Well, so I just love Hashem. He took me everywhere. And then I meet who but Hashem could do this? I go there and I tell this story all the time. I meet this guy named Larry, and really my name's Larry. Lawrence. For some reason, we changed it to Lawrence when I left the government. I guess because everybody called me Lawrence, because that's my written name. I had no close friends to call me Larry. Right. But growing up, my name was always been Larry. And so I go to, and I'm sure this guy named Larry was named Lawrence, his real name. Right. So I go to Harry Christians. I'm sitting there, like, oh, I heard you were Jewish. They said you were Jewish. And his name was Larry, and I'm Larry. And I don't know if he knew Shula Paulo, but he had been in a long time. But he was a really nice guy. And he just dressed normally, generally. He probably had stuff that he wore on holidays, but he didn't wear like Indian clothes like I wore and stuff like that. But a lot of devotees like that, especially when they get older and they've done their time in the temples and all that. So, he's telling me, he says to me, this is the same God that we had in Judaism. We're just here now. And I'm like thinking, this guy knows Hashem, All right. He goes, we were over there, now we're here. That's the only real difference. And it's hard for Jews to see how that could be, because the way the Hare Krishnas, the Vaishnavas, how you doing, sir?
Good, how are you doing?
The way they carry themselves, but it's the same God. It really is. If God could reveal that to you. So I met this Jewish guy when I was with the Hare Krishnas, and that's what he said. I already knew stuff like that. I'm like, you're right. It was pretty strange. And then he has the same name as me, Larry. 100% Larry. Well, Hashem's a lot of different things in your mind, in these religions. Hashem is even like a demigod when he wants to be. Well, why would he tell you everything if he didn't need to and he had a purpose not to tell you? It's not being deceptive. He's still trying to help everyone. Right? No, there's still, you're supposed to realize Hashem, and again, Hashem being God, right? I'm not trying to say, well, like I say, do you realize Allah just means God? So like if you were Jewish and you were speaking Arabic, you would say Allah. Because it doesn't mean, it's not only, it's the term God. Even though that religion came along, like before Islam was here, God was still Allah. All right. So if you were an Arabic Jew, you would say Allah. Or maybe you would use you could, I guess, but like generalizations, right? That's if people can't like fathom in their mind, especially like hicky Americans, or people that are just like steak and potato Americans. That all the name Allah is the translation of the term God. The Arabic translation. I tried teaching them. I mean, look, Allah doesn't mean anything other than God, so don't disrespect it. Right? Just like awoke and awakening, like I speak about the awakening, and they try to disrespect it by awoke and all that. They try to make it the same thing, just like my fake pronouns. Right? Because they really don't work. We and they actually, before there was like pronouns for sexual genders and sexuality and all that stuff, Hashem and I went through this thing about we and us, right? Well, because again, I get by with a little help from my friends. We actually are we's. Even if I don't have a friend on this planet, I have Hashem, I have the angels. I'm not living this life by myself, where I'd be deader than I'd be an abortion probably. I never would have lived, right? We're actually we's and us. So it's actually a spiritual lesson, right? But actually, if you say it, it's funny. We are going. So you're not like talking about yourself. You're talking about everybody. So if you try to use us and we, it changes what everything means. It doesn't work. I tried it when I thought it was so funny. That's why I put it up there. So if you try to use it, it doesn't work. It doesn't work based upon English syntax. It works, but it changes the meaning of everything. Oh my God. Now I can't even imagine I made it the last 4 years. I was all cramped up and everything. Oh my God. Certain parts weren't so cramped, but I never got unlocked. And I can't believe I didn't get to that. I remember, though, the woman, I was so let down because she couldn't massage me. When I got here, there was a woman whose husband and they were kind of scammy. They didn't have money and they had to kind of work for their money, even if they had to scam someone. Right. And I don't think they didn't get arrested. They were trying to get his disability up. He wouldn't have any legs and they wouldn't give him enough disability. And I had her come to massage me so she could have money, and I could get a massage, but she wasn't strong enough. So I find the massage therapist, that you can have come to your house, and I just couldn't break through the block on that to have it happen. Right, I got a massage like 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, probably 2.5 years ago. Oh my God, maybe even 3 years ago. That's how bad it was. And I'm sitting and trying to, because they're minding it. If they weren't allowed to stalk me, then there would be no pushback. I would have just did it. Right. I think we're talking about, people that are having a lot of money and connections and agencies, departments, PIs, multiple people at once. I like call each other. We make sure he doesn't do that. It'd be dangerous for the massage therapist. That's how they cover it. Right. But I would have gotten at least my legs massaged. And it would have been a whole different world. I probably may never have left Oklahoma at that point. May have been in a church in Oklahoma. May have rode my bike in Oklahoma. 100%. Again, there are communities that are blessed because I rode my bike in their community. I mean, but again, they lost that blessing. Naples. Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Larry. And also Orlando. Lake Mary. I actually built a bike in Lake Mary in my hotel room. I was staying at a hotel, and I was thinking about going out to California and buying this Mini. I was so close, and when I left in my moving truck, they pulled me over. I'm like, I felt like saying, did the deep state put you up to this? But my thing was to go back to Naples and then move on to California and live in Orange County. Right. Like the initial place where I wanted to move was one of those houses, with those renting out rooms, right? And like 3 to a room or something. I think maybe it was a single room. I can't remember. That was like Huntington. There was a trail that went down to Huntington Beach, I think is where it was. Like a rail trail type thing, right? Urban trail. Right. And then I started seeing Laguna Hills. There was I probably should have went there. Right, but Laguna Hills, there was an apartment complex right by a canyon, overlooked the canyon, right? And I could ride, if I wanted to go down to the beach, there was a pretty straight route. It was probably a little hellacious going back, but I was a pretty good mountain climber on a bike, hill climber. Correct, Larry. But I actually called, but I never got there. My mother was crying, so I stayed like a dummy. She didn't want to be alone, so after she did like the dirty to me, right? She did me dirty a bunch of times. Like until she left and lived with my brother would side with her a lot. And I said, look, dude, she talks about you the same way, and I side with you. You just don't know it, right? And he did change eventually. Right? Now, my brother's not the nicest guy in the world to me. Again, my family's shit. I know what a family's supposed to be. Again, I'm not stupid. Yeah, I was rebuilding my life with my kids because I got an apartment and they were staying with me, and it was working out pretty good. We go see movies, and I felt so bad for my older daughter because she was a needy person, and my hugs meant a lot to her. I hugged her, and she fell apart, and I can't forgive the deep state for that. Again, I forgive them in a spiritual way, in a godly way, but I can't forgive you for depriving my daughters of a life with me. And I didn't do it; you all did it, and you all did it. Right. Thank you, Lawrence. In fact, I would have never left the area at that point. 100%. Thank you, Larry. But I remember that day I was sitting. It's kind of like the same thing getting a massage. Get a massage! It gets through to me, I was sitting in my apartment after Luna was killed. I was sitting inside a lot. I was becoming like a shut-in kind of almost. If I wasn't working, I was in my apartment or shopping, or very little going out. And finally, it was like, it's like, get out of the house! I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I got to get out of here and get exercise. Right? And I got on my bicycle and I rode like I said, a half a block, and I got a flat tire. I'm like, well, not today. I had a Rockhopper, right? A Rockhopper Pro. They weren't bad that year. They were a nice bike. Yeah, I had that marriage gave me a little bit of PTSD, but it wasn't past a certain point. Like when I left the government, when I got out of the marriage, when I left the government, I got a control on a lot of the things